Hi, I'm Herb Stevenson.
And I'm Sahadeo Ramharak.
Today we will chat about the concept of grounding and how it applies to self-awareness and presence. And we appreciate your watching or listening to our podcast.
Thanks for joining us today. So Herb, what is this concept of grounding? What is grounding?
Well, I'll tell you a story about it. It might lead us to it. Years ago, I was doing some training at the Gestalt Institute, and one of the things they kept saying is you're not grounded. And coming from a more rural environment, I looked at him and I said, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
My feet's on the floor. And over the years then, what it ended up being is I began to understand it. It's about embodiment. Am I fully present and experiencing myself in my body? Mm-hmm. So the concept was actually developed by Alexander Lohan in the 1940s. And it became a process that allowed people to become more self-aware.
Okay.
Another way of looking at it is most people spend in conversation a good portion of their time in their monkey mind. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. you got one of those?
Yeah, I have one of those. I think and develop some awareness now.
Yeah. So grounding is the best way to describe it is it's a complete embodiment, but it's embodiment from a consciously aware position. Because most people just ignore their bodies, and when we begin to develop the process to allow ourselves to feel inside our body, it shifts our entire experience. So that's a short version of it, but we can elaborate on that.
Yeah, because you make me think about how, if I'm alive, am I not feeling my body?
Well, most people don't. Okay, that's part of the issue. Yeah. When we have conscious awareness, so I'm constantly tracking sensations in my body. So a lot of people say, well, why would you bother to do that? Because you're too busy talking to yourself up here. But when you're actually paying more attention, the interesting thing is you have an experience of being more yourself. It's the best way I can describe it. So instead of worrying about the 97,000 things that you were taught growing up about do this, don't do that, be good, don't be bad, and all these other things, and you're trying to manipulate, feel safe, or feel in a way that you won't embarrass yourself. The interesting thing is when you get more fully in your body, so you can feel your feet, you actually feel energy, blood flowing through, you can actually feel all these sensations. Yeah. Okay. The interesting thing, most of life doesn't bother you. You just realize things are happening around. I don't have to worry about being embarrassed. I'm just going to be very clear about who I am. And the idea behind grounding of being more fully present is when you're fully present, a person really knows you're paying attention to them. So the monkey mind's not talking, and you suddenly feel like a connection. So in many respects, it's the beginning of intimacy. I mean, not intimacy in what most people think, of romantic intimacy, but intimacy of two people connecting in that moment, person to person. And it creates vulnerability.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay? So as you feel more vulnerable, it's like, oh, this isn't good. But the more grounded you are, you realize, oh, there's something different here. I'm actually connecting this person in a, let's just say, more fully present way or a fully embodied way.
This is like, I think the word that comes to mind is like active listening, right? Is that part of, if I'm grounded with you, then I'm like actually engaged and actively listening with you?
Well, active listening is I can do that with my mind.
Okay,
and my ears, so to speak. Okay. But grounding goes further. You actually feel the sensation and the vulnerabilities in your body. So I always tell people if you want to find out if you're grounded or not, wiggle your toes and feel your butt. And suddenly you have an awareness of your body. And they're like a little stunned because they realized they didn't have any sensations or any awareness. And so active listening is a focused approach, but it's more than that, because if I'm fully embodied, I'm probably going to be empathetic as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to be as afraid. Because the strangest thing about grounding that confuses people is the more grounded you are, the more safe you feel.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I think about all the stuff from DMP, all our learning, the Natural Passages program, meeting the guys, sharing space together, being able to have deeper conversation. It's
Right.
vulnerable, scary.
Right.
But when you step into that space and you can own it, the conversations and the people that show up, I mean, it goes.
Sure.
Such a
So
great
all of the
presence.
things that you just talked about, DMP,
Yeah.
et cetera, so these are all programs that you did with me.
Yeah.
Okay? And you learned in the process that it was okay to be present
Yeah.
to me, to exist in your body,
Yeah.
and find out it's also safe to have conversations that take you to a much deeper level. All the things that everybody wants. My perspective is everybody wants intimacy. They want to feel connected. And one of the few ways that a majority of the population knows how to feel present to themselves, which is embodied or grounded inside themselves, is with animals.
Yeah.
Okay? I can be just purely present and open my heart, and the animal responds to it, and we do that. But when it comes to people, that's another ball game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another way to do that is musicians are very intimate with their music.
Yeah.
Okay, they wouldn't think of it that way, but it touches a part of them because they experience the music inside their body, so they feel the full sensations. So this is happening on all the time. We're all finding ways, but we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I wondered, like, with Reiki, learning Reiki and energy, you can't do this stuff unless you're grounded, because you have to be aware and be fully present and feel it in your body.
Any part of the healing arts is that way.
Yeah.
Okay, a person who can learn healing arts of any form can do it mechanically. But the person who's fully present is the one that has an impact for the person receiving the healing process. So that's very true. So the phrase I like to describe of it is to understand grounding versus not grounding. Is a good portion of the population functions as a head dragging a body behind it. Okay? They're constantly manipulating, trying to feel safe, whatever it is, or impress somebody, because all the things they've been taught of how to feel good about themselves, but it's only not really feel good, it's how to think good about themselves.
Say that again. You said not just think good, but feel good.
Feel it in your body, to feel fully present. So when a person's grounded, the impact of it is they're not their mind's not in the background manipulating, saying, what's the next smartest thing I should say? Or it's not saying, be quiet because you don't want to embarrass yourself. So the more present you are, you don't have to think about anything. So when we're talking, I don't have a script running in my head. I trust that whatever the words need to be for a continuation of what we're talking about will come on their own. And people think, well, that's crazy. But it's not. It's a natural process. But from the day you're born, your mind is trying to figure out, how do I orient this crazy place of all these sensations and all these strange people doing all of these things and making faces at me and all the other stuff. Well, technically, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It still happens as adults. We still make crazy faces at each other. We do all these other things. And the idea of grounding, I'll give you another example of how grounding is important. A lot of people doing spiritual practices will get into doing meditation thing, and they talk about going up into the higher realms and things of that nature. I'm fine with people do that and have those type of experiences, but the real issue is to do it from a point of view of staying fully present in this moment as you have this experience. Because otherwise, you're really trying to dissociate and take a vacation from your body and all the sensations. Does that make sense? So I know a lot of people who think they're very spiritual, and so the only thing they're really interested in is when they're meditating because they feel so good.
Yeah.
And I said, well, the point of it is you're supposed to feel good when you're in your body.
Yeah.
Why don't you try that? And then they think I'm crazy.
So I can relate to this with our own journey and when I call you and how I think about things. And you always just keep it very simple when the monkey mind, I guess, starts. Or anxiety, or just getting lost in your head and going down the rabbit hole of all these thoughts, fears, whatever. And you're always like, okay, well, just get in your body. And what does your body say? And it works. For example, like I had a situation where there's an opportunity to like look at another job role and to have so many thoughts and anxiety and fear and all these other concerns about the position. But the more grounded I get, if they like you, they hired you, they know that you can be able to do the job if they offer it to you. So all you have to do is just show up and everything will unfold itself.
I think I've told you that a few times.
Yeah, a couple of times. But now I've been playing with it, trying to like experiment, and it feels so much better when you can walk through life and you don't have all these fears and that monkey mind running around. You just show up. So wherever you go is exactly where you need to be, and whatever you need to do is going to come to you in that moment. If you can stay grounded and stay fully present.
Yeah, because if you're fully in the moment, everything's different. I mean, like I use the example of with pets. Well, the same thing is in nature. How many people, if they are having a bad day, will stop and walk in a park and suddenly feel better? What's the difference? Well, part of it is they've slowed down, let go of all the thoughts and craziness. They begin to enjoy the park, the trees, the birds, whatever it is that they feel good. I have one friend who sits beside a stream and listens to the water, and suddenly the world is all right again.
Yeah.
So a whole lot of modern society is to get us out of our body because we are so rule bound, what's right, wrong, etc. Instead of just focusing on this moment. And it doesn't mean you're not going to be effective. When I write books, I just sit and let the book write itself. But I'm fully aware, I'm present, following the story, doing the various things. So it's not like you can't be functional. You can be highly functional and actually probably more functional.
Isn't that when I feel like if you're grounded and connected and fully present, then you can create anything?
Pretty much.
So what tips do you have for encouraging others on how to stay grounded or get grounded? You mentioned like the park. Is being in nature one of those things that people can do to get grounded?
Nature, I tell people, a lot of clients, whether I'm working with corporate officers or somebody else, going for walks, get out of the office, small things, wiggle your toes, tap your feet. Exercise is great, and it's one of the American aversions. We buy our exercise equipment and hang clothes on it.
Do you think city folks, are they less grounded or more grounded than like folks that live in rural areas?
I don't think I'd categorize it that way. It comes down to is what does the person want, and if they have a clarity that something triggered them about being fully present to themselves and paying attention to their body.
Yeah.
So that can happen any place. There's a commercial on TV where this young lady gets an apartment. It's barren. It's like a one-room studio. And she suddenly realizes to feel good about where she lives, she puts all these plants in it. And so you see the end of the commercial, the sterile building, but there's this one that has a balcony that's full of plants, and she's created her place of feeling safe, grounded, present to herself, happy.
Okay.
That's the other side of it is when you're grounded, most people are much happier.
Okay. So could this relate to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where we have like psychological safety and all those other levels that need to be taken care of in order to get to like self-actualization? Could that be another form of grounding?
his lowest is food, clothing, and shelter, and that's always the first thing that everybody is concerned about. But when we begin to become more focused on being present to ourselves and to our surroundings, and we do experience the sensation of being inside our body, you will elevate into what you're paying attention to, and you'll realize I need to pay attention less to the storytelling, and I pay more attention to my actual experience in this moment, because that's the issue. If you're fully present to the moment, the impact is you just feel better. Life is not so chaotic. If I get people to change their focus, it's very easy in a lot of situations, especially higher up leaderships, can get lost in I tease the monkey mind, but it's the worry.
Yeah.
And the worry is things aren't going to go well, versus if they get fully present and come from a more, let's just say, neutral place. You have competent people out there. How do I support them to accomplish whatever this situation is, instead of going down the pike of the worst case scenario, that the glass is half empty, it's got a crack in the bottom, it's leaking water on the floor, the hardwood floor is warping, and I'm going to find out who the hell broke my glass. Okay?
So that's not grounded.
No, that's in a massive story.
Yeah.
And so when we get people to feel their body, the interesting thing is the nervous energy, the anxiety goes away. And that's really the part of the process. So grounding, any kind of exercise, any type of focused attention on small meditations of counting, taking breaths of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, will start creating an awareness of the sensation of your body. It's very simple. Then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I do it that way because I say, feel your feet and start coming up, and feel your calves, your thighs, your hips. Anything that focuses your attention back towards your body creates a sensation of being fully present. And once you start having that, a whole lot of the craziness goes away. And they're simple things.
Yeah.
My favorite is 30 days later, the person comes to me and with a mischievous smile tells me that they didn't believe me, but they found out it worked. Life doesn't have to be that complicated.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And it's so true with the practicing grounding. Like, you just show up for yourself every moment that you get. And there's no roadmap. There's no walking with the past, all the things that you should have done or regret. You just continue to move forward in the moments where you are.
So go back to the very beginning when I told you is when they told me to be grounded and I didn't know what they were talking about, that's when I began to just really understand that most people are completely desensitized about their body.
Yeah.
So when I walked, I felt my feet walking and hitting the floor. But to say I had any other sensations, I did not. And so most of us learn to numb ourselves to those kind of sensations. A lot of mine was because I was very physical. I played sports, football. I ended up in the Marine Corps. All those things is you tend to numb out your sensations. But what I found out is if you want a richer, fuller life, you want to ground in. You want to be aware of your body in such a way that you feel present. You feel comfortable inside your body. You feel comfortable feeling the sensations. And in doing that, it just leads to a much richer life. So,
in that grounding, you are connecting with your body and you're becoming more than your thoughts.
Yes, because your thoughts will go away. The more grounded you are, the more likely that you will just be present to the moment, and whatever you're attending to will take care of itself. You'll just get clarity. It sounds a little bit magical, but the truth of the matter is, if we made life a little simpler, we'd find out there's a lot of magic.
That has been, so it's so funny because that's how I'm trying to live it. as simple as possible. And it feels like the world is telling me something else. And it's a hard, like, contradiction.
So there's a simple answer for you. Mm-hmm. You use the word try. Mm-hmm. The answer is, if you want to live a simpler life, make your mind up. You're going to live a simpler life. Mm-hmm. And if there's other things out here that are getting in the way, the question is, are they getting in the way? Or is it just something I need to attend to briefly and let go of it and move on? We like to make things bigger than they actually are.
I can relate to that. Is that not being grounded as well?
Yes, that is not being grounded. So I think we're about finished, so we'll close out for this one. So I'm Herb Stevenson. Thank you for joining us for this podcast, and we hope to see you soon.
Get grounded for next time.